Hey everybody, welcome to the show. We're going to talk about video games today. That's crazy, huh? Weird.
Wait, what? That's why I'm here?
Yeah, that's why you're here.
All right.
You thought you were talking about botany, didn't you?
Botany.
Today we're going to talk about Summer of Arcade. It's upon us, and I love it every time it comes to us and brings us great games. And we're going to talk about games that we've played and reviewed. Also, we're going to talk about Bastion for a second, because everybody's probably already played that. And Dan Schu's here.
Hi, how's it going?
You are from BitMob. We always mention that each week. What is BitMob?
Well, the basic idea is like it's kind of an alternative to traditional journalism. Like people could come on the site, write stories. If we like it, we'll clean it up, fact check, clean up spelling, vocabulary, grammar, and then post their stories on the front page alongside ours.
Make them a star.
Yeah. So it's kind of like we're mixing and creating content with the community.
Cool.
So it's neat. And they could come on and put their own advertising on their stories, on their profile, so they can make as much money as they can.
So you can make money. You can write about video games and get recognized.
Yeah.
It sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and it's just kind of different kind of
Shameless plug, by the way.
Yeah.
It's different. Yeah, it's a different take on video game journalism.
Yep.
As it were. So that's that. Oh, and Scott Jones is in the house.
Yes.
Switch to the funny picture of you.
Yes, here I am.
That's not you now.
That's not me live. No, we don't have a
on
camera on
vacay.
me. Yeah, it does kind of look like
It is
you
weird.
can't really tell it's a Dragon Ball shirt, but
Wait, I thought you had a better, funnier picture. I like the one where you're... Okay, he picked it. There's a better one, people.
I can go back.
Before we get started, we did a hashtag. You heard of those on the Twitter? We did, what was it again? Oh, crap. It wasn't Best XBLA game. It was...
I think it was Summer of Arcade.
It was Fave Summer of Arcade. Yeah. So if you use hashtag Fave Summer of Arcade, tell us your favorite Summer of Arcade game so far. Or we could probably do it in the past, right? Like the last Summer of Arcade?
I guess so.
Like, if you want.
Yeah.
Not really.
Then it kind of gets fuzzy, like which ones were in the lineup,
Yeah.
you know?
Do it this year. What's your favorite Summer Arcade game you've played so far this year? We'll talk about some of the ones we like. And use the hashtag, and then we'll mention it on the show after the show's over. So let's start. Let's start with the UFC weigh-in thing. I don't want to do this.
You don't want to do it. You actually try to say we forfeit. I didn't forfeit.
Yeah, well,
I didn't forfeit.
Here's the story. In the beginning of this UFC challenge, if you don't remember, I'll show you a footage real quick. Hold on. Oh, here's the game. Personal trainer. We talked about last show, we were going to do this contest, right?
Yeah, we were just chatting outside, and you were talking about like you wanted to lose weight, and I wanted to lose weight, and we're like, let's do it in a show, like on a video game.
Right, and we have a show. Here
and then
it is.
it worked out because this just came out.
This just came out, UFC Trainer.
I think the same day we talked about it, it actually
Yeah,
came out,
weird. It knew.
Yeah.
It was like our release when Dan and Carl won it.
And we're not getting paid for all of this.
No.
Very promotional.
I know, right? So anyways, we just emailed them. We're like, hey, we want to do this contest. And they're like, here's 2 copies of the game. Go for it. So we're going to see how much weight we can lose. I have a lot to lose. Showing footage. So that happened, right? We took this challenge to see who could lose the most weight. So after we started it, a few days in, I call you up or you call me up and you're like, Carlos, I can't do this. I got to eat all these little black bean burritos and I can't do it. I'm hungry. And you sounded like you were just going to not do it. So I'm just saying, you kind of already...
But I never forfeited.
You did.
And we made a bet, like the loser, whoever... So it's based on percent weight loss, right? Not just total pounds.
Right.
Because we weigh a lot. We're very different in weight.
I'm definitely heavier than you.
So I was freaking out because I'm like, one of my friends had a all-you-can-eat nacho party at Chevy's that he won.
Oh,
invited me to
Chevy's.
it. Another friend of mine had a pizza party at Pauline's in the Mission. And it's just like all these things kept coming up. I was trying not to eat poorly, but all these things just coming up.
So then we switched, and then you seem to do better now, and I'm doing much worse. Because in the beginning, I was like, remember I came on the show, I was like, I'm aching, and I was eating well, and it was good, and I lost a few. Oh, by the way, spoiler, I did check my weight at some point. It's okay we did that, right?
Yeah, we never said we couldn't.
Yeah, so at some point when I was doing good, I was like, yes.
You were losing weight?
I was losing weight.
Oh,
I lost
nice.
3 pounds, 3 or 4. I think it was 3.
Wow.
And I was like, I was really happy. and then I started I went down a downward spiral of shame.
Yeah,
So that's why I was like forfeiting.
I was very inconsistent. Like there's some weeks I worked out 4 times, some weeks 0 times. You know, so I'm like.
So let's talk about the game for a minute. At the end of the show, you will see our progress or our end results, as it were. I'm not really.
Yeah. So a loser has to treat the winner to a lunch. He picked out some Mexican.
Not necessarily today, but sometime.
No. Yeah.
Okay. But let's talk about the game for a minute. And here's the reason why I kind of went into the spiral. For me, you know, at the very beginning was very interesting. I'm like, wow, I'm hitting the mitts with these UFC trainer guys, and I feel like there's a reason why I'm exercising. You know, it's not just doing push-ups and stuff. But if you get into those programs, the workout programs, the weight loss programs, you are doing a lot of crunches and a lot of things like over and over again, and you're like, this isn't UFC. I'm not UFC out. I'm not fighting anybody. And so for me, the biggest thing would be is if they could just mix it up a bit more. So in the beginning, it's like a workout program. It's like a lot of weight loss stuff. You know, cardio. And like, oh yeah, here, hit the punching bag. Okay, let's go back to the boring stuff. And if they mixed it up better, or heaven forbid they let me fight, imagine that. You know, like pressure, like how hard you're hitting. Maybe you're hitting a guy. Like, oh my goodness, I would do that immediately every day. So that's for me the part that I didn't like.
I had the same thought process. Like my first week, I'm like, this game's really boring. Like, because I did the program, the 30-day program, right, where they say on Monday you have to do this, Tuesday you have to do this, and of course I only stuck to that for maybe like 3-4 days before I'm like, I just can't. I got to be on my own schedule, and my own schedule sucks anyways. But yeah, I'm like, I'm not doing anything differently from any old exercise games like EA Sports Active or Your Shape.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, where's the UFC in this? And then I went to the individual guys, like in their workouts, and then I'm like, oh, okay, here's one about striking, and then here's combo striking. Yeah. And then it got cool because I'm like, they're like sitting there like telling you tuck your chin, you know, like put your shoulder behind this punch, and they're actually teaching how to punch.
I know, I felt like I could do a cross better, you know, the jabs better.
And how to do knee attacks and things like that. So I actually thought, like, if I got into a fight now, like I might actually know what I'm doing, or the game could really screw me up.
Yeah, you're like, hold on one second. Can I do this with the knee? No? Oh, I'm hurt, I'm down. Man down.
Because it's not street fighting, obviously.
No, it isn't.
But so that became more interesting to me. But the other place where it's really repetitive is the voices. Right,
you've noticed it's like bad.
So you're warming up, right? They have the warm-up routines.
Can't exercise cold muscles.
And he'll tell you that like 3 or 4 times in the span of like 1 minute. It's like, okay, now your heart must be pumping. I'm like, no, I just been doing this for 10 seconds. I just started. How's my heart pumping?
I know, they should at least fix that one. So they do repeat the same thing over and over again, right? Which is bad. But they should, in the beginning, a lot of those workouts, they make you do like arm circles. Like arm circles, your heart is not going to be racing.
Yeah.
They should, in programming, you should just know that. Don't stick that until like 3 minutes in or 5 minutes in.
And the stretching, same thing. It's like, they'll drive you insane. They'll like, you have to cool down, you know, like slow down your heart. This will help you avoid cramps. And they'll say it over and over and over and over.
I know what already is going to help me avoid cramps. Shut up.
I know. But I will say, like it doesn't sound like it's a very good game, but I think if you're not going to exercise regardless of EA Sports Active or Your Shape, if you're never going to get off your ass and get off the couch to do those things, a UFC, I think for guys, might be a decent alternative, because when you do the striking exercises, you don't feel as much like you're exercising. You know, it's not like doing a jumping jack or crunches. Exactly. It's kind of fun.
Although it's interesting how accurate they are that they measure your stuff that you're doing. I mean, push-ups, you could hear that sound. Here's some positives. The kind of the reward kind of system where you hear a sound on your TV when you finished off a push-up or a hard bicycle thing or whatever.
Yeah, like
you're like,
ding,
oh wow,
ding.
And it's like ding, 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 and you're like, cool. I feel like I did good, well, and there's a score, and those kind of things did push me to do better. But at the same time, not enough, you know. And the other thing, like you said, if you're not gonna do anything else, at least this one has punching bags. It has pretty girls. We forgot to mention, there's videos of, you know, the UFC ring ladies. You can unlock different things that are interesting.
If you're into that sort of thing.
If you're into girls, you know, I mean, some of us might not be.
No, wait. For the record, I am into girls.
Oh, okay. Good.
I just don't want
your girlfriend will be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Let's do a review of Bastion. Mr. Reviews graphics. You like them?
Love them. That was awesome.
Bastion, you probably already heard about this game. Everybody's already played it. 1,200 Microsoft points, Super Giant Games. First game that came out for Summer Arcade this year. I liked it, but I had a weird issue, and I'll start.
Yeah, please.
Thanks. So of course, the mechanics of the game are great. I mean, it's an amazing combat engine. You use long-range weapons with short-range, like, effortlessly. You don't even think about it. You use special buttons, special attacks. All of it feels really, really good, and it makes you want to go to the next little area and just find out what's over there and smash things. And the fact that you can smash a lot of things in the game is really fun too, like just random houses, like, which, by the way, if he's like rebuilding his world, isn't it weird that we're destroying it? Like,
yeah, a good point.
Anyways, On that aspect, I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. On the story aspect, it is absolutely 0 in my book. It almost gets like negative because there is no real story. And if you want me to be along for the journey in an RPG, and it's trying to be an RPG, action RPG, Chrono Trigger-esque, it's not giving me any reason to want to keep going and know the next part of the story. I know there's something surprising at the ending. I'm almost there, and there's some sort of like big choice you have to make. But I just don't care enough about any of the characters or any of the backstory. It just feels blah. And yes, the commentary is really interesting and cool, and I want to go on that journey to see what the next area is, but I don't care anything about what's going on there. Not because of the plot. And also when they do get plot points, which are little objects in the game you kind of find, they talk about like the old history and stuff, it just shows the same graphic. Like one graphic of this thing you found, and it's like zooming in and out. Yes, there's a screw there.
This is a downloadable title, though, right?
Is it a downloadable
Are
title?
you like judging it by like disc RPG standards?
I don't know. I mean, there's RPG. I mean, Death of Breath. What's it?
Breath of Fire?
But the one that indie guy did, and it's a good example. You see the lower third. I forgot what it is. Indie game RPG. It's like a Final Fantasy old school game. There's more story in that, and it's an 80-point game. 80 Microsoft point. So no, I don't think it's that. I think they could have just peppered a little bit more story there to make me more interested. So that's my only huge gripe. But the gameplay is beautiful. You go.
I think I disagree because I like when I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't played it, but when you start meeting other characters and then something happens and then it's like, oh, you're meeting other people in this world that's destroyed, right?
Yeah.
And then you meet a second person and then something happens, right? It's just like, oh, you start wondering, because you start to get this backstory about these two races, that how they interact with each other, and then there's like a couple of people that you meet from this other race, and then this guy gets all mad, and then it's like, well, it made me really want to see what's going to happen.
Okay.
I do like that.
But we're both like, we love it.
I love the game because besides the narration, I love the steady drip feed of like new weapons and upgrades.
Yeah.
And there's always like introduce a new mechanic. Like, okay, now there's how do you upgrade the weapons, and now here's the spells that you
all
can
the different
do.
houses you can
Yeah,
build.
exactly.
Yeah.
But one thing I do love that's I think underappreciated is the god idols. So you get these things where it makes the game tougher, right? It's like one idol might say, hey, the enemies will drop a bomb before they die, or another one was like that makes them more aggressive, and you pick and choose which ones you want to turn on, and each one gives you an experience point and money bonus.
Yeah.
So based on before they die, or another one was like that makes them more aggressive, and you pick and choose which ones you want to turn on, and each one gives you an experience point and money bonus.
Yeah.
So basically, what that system is you're customizing your difficulty level, right? I can make it 5% harder for 5% more gain, or I can make it 35%. Like one time I turned on like 3 of them, my first 3.
Yeah, I was afraid to turn them on.
And I couldn't beat that. I could, but it took me a lot longer to beat it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is very cool. I get to customize it, but because I like the grind and leveling up, I got more XP for it.
Right, and what's cool about it is that the combat is so good, you don't mind that.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that, because I didn't really turn them on all the time, but it was very interesting and dynamic, and it's really cool to kind of for the future of games to be able to adjust how you're playing the game. It goes really well with that game though, because it is so oddball, and kind of like the world's being created. It's kind of like you're helping make this experience, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I would say the only reason that really works is because the combat is so fun and easy, and you don't really get frustrated too much. Although falling off the edges is kind of annoying, like because that happens quite a bit. Yeah. But the beauty is that if you fall off the edges, you don't die. If that happened, I might put that game down.
Oh, there's no way. They're too smart to do that.
Yeah.
You lose a little bit of health.
You lose a little of health.
No, not a big deal.
So we both saying get it.
Get it.
It's a get it. But I have weird reservations about the story.